It's time now for a look at what's happening in the papers. Florence Villeminot, our press reviewer, is here today talking again about the burkini. We don't seem to shut up about the burkini at the moment, do we? But today's an important day. This is when the country's top court is set to rule on whether to uphold the burkini ban down in the south.
That's right. In one particular town, that's Villeneuve-Loubet. So all eyes on the State Council, which is going to give its opinion later this afternoon. The burkini is still very much on the front pages today. Let's take a look at L'Opinion, which has a very strong front page. It's talking about the burkini trap. The burkini scandal has reached a fever pitch. It's getting out of hand, according to L'Opinion. Now, it's really become the political debate of the summer. But the thing is, it's divided most mainstream parties. Both the left and the right are divided over what to think about this burkini. All it's done is create major divisions in France, and it's making France look really bad abroad, according to L'Opinion. People outside of France are really stunned that this is even a debate. The hysteria around the debate has put France, home to Europe's largest Muslim population, under a lot of tension. And L'Opinion wonders, is this really reasonable? And check out this cartoon. This is by Kek. Now, what you can see in this cartoon are two very different scenarios happening. You can see this police officer telling this topless woman to get dressed. And then you can see on the right there, the police officer telling the woman in the burkini to get undressed. And this little sign, you can't really see it very well here, but it's behind the cop here is saying, tenue correcte exigée, appropriate dress required. But what is that appropriate dress?
Indeed. Well, you've also pulled out a cartoon from Le Monde, which is also poking fun at the situation and is quite critical of the mayors in question who've been banning the burkini.
That's right. Now, there have been calls for Muslims to be more discreet in the wake of this burkini scandal. And this is what this mayor is telling this woman in the burkini here. Be more discreet. Try to be more discreet. But who's not being discreet here is the mayor. You can see him there on the ladder with this police officer and a journalist. It's essentially creating this whole frenzy around this poor woman who's just trying to go for a dip. Now, Le Monde, in another article, focuses on the real risks of what it calls the burkini hunt. It's essentially opening up a Pandora's box of religious intolerance here in France. It's a slippery slope. The burkini ban could lead to a ban on the Muslim headscarf in public in general. Now, that might sound crazy, right? But we've already seen several women on beaches in France just wearing a simple headscarf being fined and asked to remove it. So maybe this crazy scenario could become real.
Well, the Catholic paper La Croix is actually wondering if authorities have their priorities in the right order.
That's right. It's a really interesting editorial coming from the Catholic paper. It says that this excessive debate is a complete waste of time. Now, sure, the burkini is preoccupying, according to La Croix. It raises a lot of questions about the equality between men and women. But is this really the fight we should be fighting in the struggle against the rise of Islamist fundamentalism here in France? And it says, it seems like police officers might have better things to do than patrol beaches and try to, catch women coming out of the water in a burkini. For instance, La Croix says maybe we should be paying more attention to what happens in some mosques. There have been several instances of quite radical imams saying outrageous things. Maybe that's what we should be focusing on instead. And La Croix says the government really needs to make a list of priorities and stick to this list.
Okay, well, let's move off the burkini for now and on to French politics. The French Prime Minister Manuel Valls says he is ready to run for president, but only if François Hollande doesn't.
That's right. Manuel Valls is the backup plan, according to Le Parisien. It's really his moment of glory right now. He's been very tough when it comes to the burkini ban. He says it's incompatible with the values of the Republic, and never has this firmness been so in phase with French people, because according to a recent poll, 64% of French people are in favor of banning burkinis. Le Parisien says it seems like he's ready to lead the country. In fact, people close to him say he's the one who's acting presidential right now, not so much the president, François Hollande. But he's very loyal to François Hollande. And so he says, people around him say that he'll only run if François Hollande decides not to run. And as for him, he's very ambiguous about his ambitions. He says, I have plenty of time ahead of me, perhaps other presidential elections to come.
Meow. Indeed. Let's move on now to another story finally. And the papers are paying tribute to the French fashion designer Sonia Rykiel, who passed away yesterday at the age of 86.
That's right. Lots of emotion in the French press today. Let's take a look, first of all, at the front page of Libération, which talks about the end of the new woman. Now, Sonia Rykiel is credited in Libération with really, transforming French women in general and transforming French fashion. Inside, Libération says there are very few fashion designers who we can credit with creating the modern feminine wardrobe. She made prêt-à-porter accessible and desirable in the 20th century. She left a real footprint on fashion and really helped liberate women. And she also really marked her era. She was very vocal during the May 68 uprising and really, in a way, defined what a French woman is and what she wears.
Indeed, very touching tribute, something for our viewers to check out if they can. Thanks for that, Florence Villeminot, taking us through the French press.